Somebody sent this to me, of course. iDubbbz had a conversation. I don't know who this person is. I honestly can't pronounce this thing, but you can take this person's name. I'm sorry. I really just can't. I feel like I'll butcher it. But she had a conversation with iDubbbz. I guess iDubbbz is kind of talking. You know, he's on a little bit of he's continuing the apology tour, I suppose. So let's see what we got going on here.
Because a lot of, you know, black creators and black people in general have had to deal with the environment that, you know,
they also have like pretty good opening songs.
Me and, you know, other creators have made.
Because if we had the ability to cancel you, you wouldn't have been successful in the first place.
And I totally get Francesca's feelings of.
I mean, let's be real. If black people had the ability to cancel people, at least back then he wouldn't have made that humor. Like, that's the reality, right? That wouldn't have been socially acceptable anymore, or wouldn't have been socially acceptable, and he probably just wouldn't have been as edgy. That's an interesting way that the world works. Is that's like, you know, partially like a social, you know, what is it called? Ordinance? I don't know. Order? You get what I'm saying.
Like, you can't like undo 5-10 years of harassment that I've received.
Like, not being a racist, not being a bigot is the bare minimum. We're not even.
Shit. What am I gonna do? I'm just kidding.
Cookies for that.
I don't know, man. Listen, I'm not trying to be rude. I feel like it depends on the sphere you're in. But I just remember when I used to work like a real job in the real world, everybody was super racist. It doesn't matter what skin color you were. Everybody was, you know what I mean? And we would have fun with it too. Like, we would be like a little racist to each other, you know, Hispanic guys and white guys, you know what I mean? It'd be in good fun. I feel like that's a man thing too. You know, obviously very easily get to a bad point, but guys, it's fun. You know, your best friends saying inappropriate stuff to each other in private. You know what I mean? Just don't say it in public, guys, okay? Be sensitive to the whole community of the world.
I want to preface this video with a disclaimer. If you are somebody who innately finds the mention of race or racism agitating, turn this video off and go where the love is, because you are not gonna find it here, babes, and we are being productive.
Trigger warning, racism, baby.
This is not a drama video. It's not a video about canceling anyone. It's not even a video about railing against white content creators who create platforms doing bigoted content and apologize and or pivot. Okay. It's about trying to get to the root of how these platforms come to exist in the first place, why they seem to persist in spite of the communities that they harm, actively telling those creators that it causes harm, and what, if any, material things those creators can do to mitigate the harm they've caused and or at least demonstrate their sincerity, so we as an audience can better determine who is being genuine and who's just trying to make some kind of leftist rebrand. Because the reality is, this exists, this happens. So what do we do going forward? This is not a video about condemnation. It is about problem solving, and it's about recognizing very real realities, very different kinds of harms and different perspectives and opinions people are entitled to have around harm that is caused. I interviewed iDubbbz, or Ian.
I was being very, just generally uncaring.
But before I show you that interview,
I mean, it's safe to say that iDubbbz isn't trying to rebrand for people to like him or something, because if he wanted money, he could have just kept leaning into the racism. You know?
I need to first give you a little backstory and explain to you why I interviewed him, so you have the proper context to view it in. Because again, this is
he's a big creator. I mean, it's been pretty, and he did some racisms, and he was open to it. That's pretty much it. So
it's not about him as an individual. He is a case study, which is why I first interviewed Francesca Ramsey, an amazing writer, comedian, actress, and also somebody that iDubbbz had personally attacked and caused a harassment campaign to wage against her for years.
Did he? Who is that girl? What are we talking about?
He is a case study. I had first interviewed Francesca Ramsey. And
what's the backstory on Francesca and iDubbbz? What's the backstory to that? What? I don't even know the context of that situation. Okay.
Amazing writer, comedian, actress, and also somebody that iDubbbz had personally attacked and caused a harassment campaign to wage against her for years. I started thinking about this.
Why? What was the context? Does anybody know like a light context of that?
Because I co-host a show called The Leftist Mafia. And a couple of months ago, we had to remove one of our co-hosts, Illuminati, when substantial evidence was brought to the table to show that she had a history of attacking and harassing every creator that seemed to cross her path. But more than that, we learned that she had done what I like to call the leftist rebrand. It's when white content creators build platforms on what they call edgy, but bigoted content.
Yes.
And then after years of causing harm and attacking absolutely anybody who criticized them for it, they simply apologize to their audiences who not only never cared that they did it, loved them precisely because they did it. And
absolutely.
that audience, of course, forgives them because it was never.
It's the old bait and switch, guys. Listen, man, because I still enjoy edgy content. I still make some edgy content. You know, my biggest issue, because I've always been like left leaning, I've always advocated for what I advocate for. The only problem was that, like, you know, I didn't realize, and I would make edgy jokes, and now I do the same thing. I just do them in like a long form video, so you know it's a joke. Because there are some people who think that, like, when you make an edgy joke that you're actually bigoted, and that took a while for me to understand. Opening into the online space is such a weird phenomenon that I don't think people understand, because I used to be like viral, right? I was a big TikToker, blah 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 blah, and you don't understand, you know, that you're interacting with like 100 different types of people. You know, it's from different communities. From my community, we always enjoyed edgy jokes, but, you know, we weren't racist. Okay, and you might be like, well, you're still a little, maybe, but we had no hate in our heart. Does that make more sense? Does that sound better? So, you know, it's one of those things where you learn, like, wow, there are people who are actually taking this and running with it. And I think that that's something that a lot of people, you know, it takes a while for them to understand. You know, it just takes a while to understand stuff like that. You know, doesn't make it right. But I don't think that everybody has like poor intentions that are trying to be like actively incredibly racist and harm people. And then they just shift. They're like, oh, it's time to rebrand. Like, I think that people, I don't like to look at people fundamentally with the most negative inflection, which I think that's what that does when you insinuate that. When you're like, oh, they just, I don't think all rebrands are disingenuous. I think that a lot of people just like, oh, they've realized that what they did was wrong. Times are changing. Shit happens. You know what I mean? So
their harm to forgive, and they go on business as usual. The problem with these redemption arcs or rebrands, however you choose to characterize it, is that 1, you never really know who's being sincere versus just making some kind of pivot for their own financial or professional gain. 2, there are rarely any concrete acts of atonement made to or for the individuals or communities that were actually harmed, and they're usually left entirely out of the conversation. 3, while it does theoretically make sense to want to forgive people for doing something wrong and then recognizing that and wanting to do better, little exploration is had into whether or not giving out that forgiveness so freely incentivizes other white creators to build their platforms this way, knowing they will be excused in the future. And 4, little exploration is had into why those creators didn't seem to realize their behavior was apology worthy when the communities they were harming were actively telling them it was.
That's actually a good point, because a lot of people will just apologize because they get backlash. They won't apologize because they actually feel like they've done something wrong. And that's the one thing I'll say that, like, I'm actually like, I know for a fact is that, like, when I was doing shit that wasn't appropriate, I didn't realize it, and then it took a while to like understand the negative, you know, impact that you could have on people. You know, it took me a while to understand that there are so many different types of people, and I was very against like harassment. I would tell people, don't harass people, don't do this, don't do that. These are just jokes, like, you know, don't, you know, take it and run with it. But it didn't necessarily matter. You know, you try to make it matter. It matters a little bit, but. So I that part I'm pretty at least happy with myself that I actually like every time I've changed it was because I felt like what I did was actually wrong. I would never like pander to people and just be like, oh, I'm you know, blah blah blah, you know. So
as Francesca put it,
they will make you a target and they will make you their jumping off point, and they will use bigotry as
what happened with iDubbbz and this girl though?
I mean, I don't want to be right.
Understand.
It's bittersweet.
Yeah.
But as I'm seeing it happen, I'm like, I said this would happen years ago.
Who is this girl?
Not a month ago, not a week ago, years. Check the receipts. I said this would happen, and it absolutely did.
So while I've been thinking about all that, I came across this tweet by Francesca.
I didn't intend on making a video about this, but I'm so angry that like I just have to say something and just like get it out and let it go. So recently there's been a wave of people who've made bigoted content on the internet coming forward and apologizing. TikTok, we've got Kelly Cagdon. On YouTube, we have iDubbbz.
Well, I mean, Kelly just wasn't doing it for a long period of time. She just said some dumbass shit about how slavery may have benefited black people. It was some wild shit, which is unfortunate, like a growing conservative sentiment. Florida teaching the personal benefits of slavery is one example. Matt Walsh going on a tear justifying like, you know, racism, slavery, and colonization. Again, this reiteration of like, you're better off being a slave because now you're in America. It's an unfortunate, it's bizarrely a somewhat popular conservative sentiment. I'm not saying most conservatives believe this, but it's popular for a content creator like Matt Walsh to say some dumb shit.
I think is how you say his name.
Don't kill this guy.
In years past, we've had Shane Dawson. And all of these people I have different relationships with. So I hosted a show for MTV called MTV Decoded. I actually created the show.
Okay.
I wrote on the show. I
Interesting.
hired tons of incredible people and made a lot of great content that I am very proud of. But at the time that the show was on, I dealt with a lot of harassment because of it from these people that labeled themselves anti-social justice warriors, anti-feminists on YouTube, including iDubbbz. And he made a number of videos where he used...
What the hell was Decoded? I don't know what that...
the N-word, fully
Whoa.
uncensored, where he put my face in videos and called me, you know,
what the fuck?
And you know,
Jesus
said that my work
Christ.
was cancer, and like my work made him want to kill himself. Most of these videos have been privated, so I can't show them to you, but I've seen them. And he created a culture and a fan base that then harassed me. So did Shane Dawson.
And the caption on the video read,
"Why were people harassing this girl? What the fuck? What is happening? I've never even heard of this show. I might have to look into that.
Response regarding
What
creators
the
who
fuck?
rebrand or outright denounce their past racist or bigoted content via apology video. The culture of harassment and bigotry you've created and profited off is not erased with a sorry or a rebrand. When I looked at the people that she had tagged, I realized that iDubbbz and I followed each other because I attended Creator Clash earlier this year with my friend LOL Overruled. So I went down the rabbit hole, starting with the apology. Which, listen, as far as these apology videos go, it was a better one.
He was so flagrant, and I will say, like, I'm not one to give out cookies. I watched his whole apology video, and I will say, like, in the grand scheme of responses, he did a better job than most. So I'm going to say that he probably had someone advising him, which I don't think is a bad thing. It's probably a smart thing to do.
Maybe.
But again, it's just not enough for me. It's not enough for me, and I hope that he's genuinely committed to being a better person. And again, like, I listened to it, and maybe he is, but like.
Notably, though, in his apology, he singled out only one creator. At first, the only name he singles out to apologize to in this video
is a white woman.
Ooh, a white woman.
Okay, we're right here. We are right.
I mean, you know, I clocked that immediately.
See, I didn't know who she was, so I assumed she was a black woman, right, based on the context of the video.
But did you go down the rabbit hole of how that situation started? I mean, the levels of irony. You apologizing to a white girl for using the N-word, who also used the N-word,
who used to herself,
who also used the N-word, and you thought that you were going to check her on using the N-word, but.
I'm surprised nobody in the chat has like said anything about who this woman is, because I've never heard this Decoded shit.
I also using it.
Come on,
and usually you guys are like, oh, I know that person.
But I do think it's a conversation that needs to be had with the centering of whiteness, even within your recognition of wrongness or apology going forward. There's still, not only is there a centering of white women in even the apology or the aftermath, but it's even the center of what I believe drove the desire to go this path. Because I think his audience, what happened is the audience,
they were attacking his wife,
and that is the tea. And that's the tea.
That's when it got real.
And that's what I'm like.
Well, yeah, but that makes sense because it's his wife. Like, right? I mean, like, outside of race, I mean, that makes sense for somebody to start getting more personal on something when someone insults their wife.
So it got real for you when a white woman was hurt, and in the apology, it's
not really okay.
Only a white woman who is singled out, and
that part's fair, but I think it's like a little weird to not acknowledge that, of course, a person in general, especially men, you could call it sexist if you want, are going to be more sensitive to. Oh, I just fucked. Wait, actually, that was good. Are going to be more sensitive when somebody insults their wife than anything else. So.
And apologize to, because I'm like, well, you're apologizing for making racist and bigoted content, and yet no black person has been individually named, right?
And to be fair, like, I don't need him to check me by name. I would prefer my name to stay out of it. But at the same time, I did similarly to you clock the irony of him devoting a substantial part of that video directly to Tana.
Yes,
and even she's another example of someone who has rebranded, right? Like, she was saying the N-word, she was making this like bigoted content, and then she really kind of moved in a different direction, and that was what he called out, supposedly, that led down that path. So again, it rings hollow for me, especially because I've been on the internet a very long time, and I've watched this happen numerous times, and I've seen people come and go, and the people who are able to remain relevant and the ones who are able to continue to have a platform evolve. And sometimes it is authentically so, and other times it's like, oh my god, I gotta move, I gotta change shit up because they about to cancel me, I'm about to get out of here. And it's like,
well, I mean, either way, that's always going to be a factor. No, I mean, this is one of those things where because I understand exactly what they're saying. They're saying that they don't think it's honest, or they're saying that there's it's questionable whether it's honest or not, because part of it's just a social shaming thing, which is true. But at the same time, like, the social shaming, which obviously in some instances, I'm not saying in this instance, goes too far. The social shaming aspect, like it pretty much tells people like, hey, this wasn't right or acceptable. You know, sometimes you just don't think it's unacceptable. I know that sounds silly, but that's sometimes a perspective. You know, sometimes, you know, especially if it's like a behavior that's enabled within your particular sphere, you might think that it's more acceptable than it really should be considered. You know, sometimes you need that little kick in the ass, be like, hey, that was wrong. Sometimes people, that's all they need is a little, hey, that was wrong. You shouldn't have done that. So
to set the stage for this kind of video, because when you talk about racism, there are people who just feel personally attacked. They automatically feel like you're making a personal indictment of them, and from that moment forward, they are in defense mode, and you are their adversary. Because what they're really hearing is, you think I'm a bad person. You think I consciously decided to be racist. But the reality is a lot more nuanced and a lot less personal than that. The reality is that if you recognize that racism is pervasive in a society, that there is systemic racism, that we are all being raised and educated and indoctrinated in a society that has woven racism and anti-blackness into our laws, into our media, into our schools, into our every fabric of our institutions, you will internalize and perpetuate racism and anti-blackness, whether you're aware, whether you consciously set out to be or identify as a racist, whether you're a good person to the people in your life, whether you think you mean well or not, unless you make the conscious decision to recognize and unlearn these things and do better going forward. Although it is often received as such, it is not an innately personal indictment if you are a white person being told that something you do or say is racist. The problem is doubling, tripling, and quadrupling down, taking an utter refusal to hear or consider what entire communities are actively telling you. And it's often worse than just ignoring or refusing to hear those communities that these creators are causing harm to. Often they're
really was here for the iDubbbz conversation. It's been 10 minutes of this. I get it. I just, Jesus Christ.
Audiences will attack those communities.
But, you know, again, like, not to give him cookies because it's the bare minimum, but it is very telling that he admitted that this was coming from a place of insecurity.
I am very insecure about my ability to create interesting content or like entertain. And it's one of the reasons why I, kept making this hurtful content. I don't want you to interpret that as an excuse, but I hope that that is relatable to other creators who maybe struggle with the same thing. I'm not confident in my ability to entertain, and I think if I had to rely on my personality to entertain people, that I wouldn't have any amount of success.
Yeah,
because that was
that's a little weird thing to say, only because his personality was still a part of the entertainment factor.
thing that I picked up on too, where it's like, it's really easy to, and I'm guilty of this too, like I don't participate in, I used to like hate tweet stuff. I'd be like, I hate this show, so let me sit here and talk about it. And it's like, you know what, even if I don't like the content, they did the work and they put it out in the world. Instead of me doing the same thing, I'm sitting here hating on them and shitting on them when I could be putting this energy into making the
Wow, yeah, do that. Shit on people who make work you don't like. I don't know, like, why not, Fuck it, right? I mean, it's called criticism. I mean, you don't have to shit on them, but I mean, in general, I think it's fine to criticize people's work. Maybe not on Twitter. Twitter is a mental disorder. You should get off Twitter. It's fucking terrible.
The thing that I'm actually interested and passionate about. And that's what a lot of these creators that build platforms off of just hating on things, it's like,
yeah,
it's become,
I love
it's
hating.
You
I love it.
anything from scratch.
Absolutely. You know what I can create from scratch? My raw, pure fucking hatred. I don't give a damn. Okay? You say, oh, you can't create your own, so that's why you hate. You're right. You want to know what, though? People love my hatred. They love that I don't like things. Okay? I don't know what to tell you. It's make your own stuff. I'm not artistic. Okay? Despite what the doctor insinuated. What are you talking about? Okay? Listen, man, this is called critics. Like, I mean, I personally, I'm sure that she hates critics because she has a TV show and maybe her show sucked or something. I don't know. And the critics were mean to her. Well, iDubbbz was a critic that was mean to her. But I mean, there's a platform for that. There's a platform for that for a reason, People enjoy it. So
you have to really put yourself out there to have an original idea.
Come here,
and put the
Sissy
time and energy into crafting it and building an audience. It's really easy to piggyback on somebody else.
There's no such thing as an original idea anymore. Let's be real. Everything's been done. Now everything's just variations of other things. Even Star Wars was just like the Seven Samurai or whatever fucking thing that's called. You know what I mean? There's some fun twists on some already done genres, but you know what? Hey, hey, it is what it is.
Else's work,
Whoa.
And then just say, well, this sucks. It's like, okay,
yeah.
You literally have not made anything, and so
Okay.
again, it's truly the bare minimum. But him
That probably made you upset.
acknowledging that was coming from a place of like,
It was a
"Am I
YouTube
actually
show
even
produced by
funny?"
MTV?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
believe
It's probably
that. I
garbage.
believe
Yeah.
that you didn't know if you were funny without talking shit about other people's work.
I believe that. I 190% believe that. And I think that's actually, when I peel it back, that's actually what was a bigger problem for me when I realized it. Because I'm like, me recognizing that in the same way that you recognize that both of us were inclined to give empathy, and both of us were like, you know, I understand the impulse to do this. I understand the impulse to shit on these things. I understand that. But you know what makes you feel, I think, two things. One is Black people, we're always being asked of and expected and held in the place to always have to be compassionate and empathetic to people who are mistreating us, one. But two, it's because we as creators can appreciate what someone else has created and what goes into that, and that makes you have a different kind of respect for that. So it's two levels. We respect it on a human level, we empathize because we're humans, and then we empathize as creators. And on no level did he empathize, on none of those levels did he empathize with any of these people, so much so that even in this apology, none of them get singled. Where was a Jinx? Where was where were these people? Where was any Jinx? That was the beginning of the end for Jinx's platform, and he's no longer on YouTube. And then I thought about that. That's also a part of it. The reason why you single out the white content creator, in addition to it being a white woman, because she's still here. Because she's still here.
And guess what? She was like,
well, probably. But I think that shows that it's not necessarily a race thing. It's just a relevancy thing. Clearly, that person stayed. Is this Jinx? Who the fuck is Jinx? I don't know. But, like, yeah. I mean, there's probably a race element, too. Or there's probably a race element, too. Oh, Jinx, of course. How did I not know? But okay.
come on my podcast, let's talk. They're just going to use this to then platform each other and continue to like raise their own profile, which is why I'm like, none of this.
It is a little weird they're making this criticism since iDubbbz literally came onto this person's show to talk about it, but seems like he's making like a solid effort. So, you know, cool beans.
Holds water to me for me because, you know, again, bars in hell, but the only person that I've really seen take any real measurable responsibility is Jenna Marbles. She said, I'm out. She said, I've built a platform. I've done some things that I'm not proud
What did Jenna Marbles even do wrong?
of. And I think
What did Jenna Marbles... I feel like Jenna Marbles didn't do anything wrong. What did she do? Jenna Marble... Like, why... What, like, you're saying it's a good thing that she left the platform?
She said, I've built a platform. I've done some things that I'm not proud of. And I think her motivations were twofold. I think she was burnt out on creating content to begin with. I think that was just, you know, the timing was right. But she said, I'm not going to do this anymore. And again, like...
Because of videos from 2011 impersonating Nicki Minaj and rapping lyrics about Asians? I mean... I don't know. I think that if you're praising, and maybe I'm misconstruing what they're saying, but if you're praising her leaving because she made edgy content in 2011 where she sang Nicki Minaj, potentially, like, I think she might have had blackface on and was, like, racist to Asians, like, it seems disproportionate to me. Like, I don't know. It's not good. 2011, she was being kind of racist in some videos. And it's like, yeah, I think that she'd make good accountability. She left the fucking platform. Like, that sounds like that's a pretty intense punishment. Because it insinuates to me, and maybe I'm just thinking it wrong, that like the punishment for being ignorant, racially ignorant, with no hatred in your heart, because I doubt she was trying to be hateful, is like just leave forever. It seems very disproportionate to me. Thank you so much for the 5-month sub. There is no pleasing these people only deplatform. Maybe. I mean, we don't know them enough yet. I just feel like, you know, it seems a bit disproportionate. You know, it's not my fault that I grew up in a system that validated my racism. I'm the real victim here, if you think about it, guys. If you think about it, I'm the real victim. It's my white struggle, is that I can't be racist anymore. Okay? It's crazy. How am I supposed to survive? People don't know this, but white people are like plants, except racism instead of sunlight. You don't get it. You know what I mean? Damn, these guys just absorb everything. You don't get it. Oh, I should have killed that guy. All right, it's horrible.
I don't think she needs me to accept her apology or anything. But at the same time, I'm like, you know, you're backing up what you're saying.
Have any fucking
I've profited off of this. I don't feel good about it, so I'm gonna bow out. And to me, it just feels like damage control to make an apology and then just move. Because even he said at one point, he was like, I'm not going to just keep apologizing. I'm not going to keep making content about this. And I was like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you shouldn't. The reality is this. You should give people a sincere apology, and you should leave it up. And that's a mistake I've made before. And move on. Because there's the reality is that when you're speaking to 1 million people, no one, like, not everyone's going to be happy. It doesn't matter what you say, what you do. Like, it does matter what you say. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how genuine you actually are. But at the end of the day, regardless of all that, people are still going to poo-poo on it. They're still going to say it's not enough, it's not this, it's not that. And so you just make your apology and move on. Like, you can't harp on it. Like, it is what it is. It's just, you know, it's good to apologize, but when you continue in an apology tour, you know, it's not going to work because people, and it seems like maybe, so these guys may never accept it. And it makes sense that she wouldn't accept iDubbbz because apparently he harassed the fuck out of her. But there's some people just never going to accept an apology. You're better off saying it and then just moving on. Being genuine and then just moving on from it. You're honestly better off doing that. You know, instead of harping on it, because if you try to make everybody happy constantly, it's just you're just beating a dead horse at that point.
This is you going, I'm done with this, and I never have.
Whoa! Shut the fuck up! Oh, you're only talking to 27,000 people. You're not a million. Listen. No, I don't know if you knew the backstory of Papa God. I had 2.5 million followers on TikTok. I was verified. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Okay, you're most famous for being in my chat. Okay. All right. So don't fuck with me, bro. Okay? Oh, I do CrossFit. Oh, you know? Come on. Typical CrossFitter with, oh, what's your deadlift? That's my name. Typical CrossFitter's got, oh, can you please ask me about my CrossFit? It's your whole fucking personality. It's CrossFit Destiny and watching Papa Gut. I'm sorry. This is a little too mean today. I'm just busting your shit. Just fucking with you. Oh Jesus, that was a little intense. That was intense. It felt good, but I know it was wrong. Okay? Felt good, but I know it was wrong. I'm so sorry. Don't let this guy get away. There we go.
About it again after this, when the reality is
I'm on a fire, baby.
You've made millions off of this content. So
And I think that is actually, you know, a place and something that I actually want to discuss, and I will discuss with him, because
don't let him go.
You know, normally we have conversations about like reparations just as a larger conversation in our society. That becomes a harder, more nuanced conversation because people say, then who? Blah, blah. Yeah, this is very.
No,
we know who.
We can see.
We know who and we know when.
receipts.
And I'm like, well, you know what? I think, and I'm going to talk to him about this. I think, you know what is a meaningful step, because I know he said in the video, I am running ads on this video, and I'm going to donate to a foundation or something. The black people you've harmed, of course, there are far more black people that have been harmed than just the individual content creators, and that you will have to atone for in some other way, and you probably will not be able to, right? That's just what that is, because you put that.
What does that mean? More black people were harmed? You mean like on the internet? Maybe. I don't know. Do you think there were like real world implications to this? Maybe. I don't know.
Out into the world, and you can't take that back. Once you fester hate and white supremacy, it is what it is. But as far as the individual creators, you know who they are. You go look at the privated videos on the videos, every video you did, every content cop on a Jinx, what you did to you, what you did to all them, and what was the revenue on those videos?
Oh, was Jinx the fucking reactor who did literally nothing but look at the screen? Is that who we're talking about? Is that fucking Jinx? Is that who we're talking about here? Is that the guy who would like, because I react obviously, but he would just sit on the screen and go, ah, and just make faces? Is that, listen, if that's the person you're defending, I don't know the specifics, but my man wasn't making real content. You could argue that I'm not either, but I mean, like, I'm doing substantially more work than that guy. What the fuck? Like that, he deserves to be criticized. What are you talking about? That's nut bars, bro. What the fuck? What the fuck is happening here? Bro, these guys are tickling my anus right now. That's crazy. That's crazy, dude. That's nuts. Oh, Jinx isn't here anymore. Yeah, it's because his content wasn't real content. What are you talking about? That's fucking banana boats, bro. I mean, for real. That's actual banana boats. That's fucking wild, dude. That's crayons, brother. There's just no fucking, there's no shot, dude. There's no shit. No way.
And pay and cut some checks. Cut some
Yeah,
checks.
and
Cut some checks to who?
again,
What the
he did
fuck?
acknowledge that he has built a career, a successful career, because he's gone on to do other things outside of YouTube. I think he's doing this like boxing series or something like that, and I'm sure he's making tons of money for that.
No, he actually lost like $1 million
Got
or
that platform
$250,000.
off
So.
of those videos. He didn't just get the opportunity to sell tickets and do
relax.
you know, these big events just because.
I don't know. Ever since I heard the defense of Jinx, now I'm kind of feeling like a little less sympathetic to these people, these individuals. I'm not because they're black. I didn't mean these people. Okay, relax. These individuals, because like I feel like if you're going to the point where you're like, yeah, man, Jinx is gone, and he was such a good guy. What did he do? I mean, what the fuck are we talking about?
He's a great fighter. No.
Yeah.
The content cop was edgy for sure, but to be honest, the video is nowhere near as crazy as they make it seem. It's 100% worth watching because the character. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to watch it. It could be crazy, but still, I mean, we're talking about a dude who literally didn't do anything. I mean, you want to criticize iDubbbz for only getting popular because he was being racist. That guy was only getting popular because he was making funny faces at a video. Like, there was nothing of substance really being added in any capacity. There was no reaction. There was no change. There was nothing really going on there. Oh, we got him. We got him, guys. We got him. Oh, he got out.
Got
We
to
didn't get
do
him.
that because he built a ginormous audience on
Ginormous.
YouTube.
Right.
And I don't know who his wife is. I don't watch her content. But
she's a
his
white woman.
Success has also given
Disgusting.
her an ability to have a platform.
Disgusting
There's like a
white
trickle-down.
women.
To your point about reparations, we can see that the content that he created has opened doors for him beyond YouTube.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of reparations. You know what I mean? Like, not financial. I mean, listen, I just think that we should empower lower, mostly, and middle class people as well. And since, you know, black and people, BIPOC people are disproportionately poor, it will have a disproportionately better impact on those individuals. I'm not saying that's the most fair thing. You know, from a fairness perspective, black people should probably get reparations, but from like a functionality of society situation, all you can really do is you know, focus on helping poor people more than anything else and moving forward. You know, it's probably just like the best way to operate. Maybe that's not an emotional take enough, but
So again, personally, I don't need a check from him. I'm good.
And I love that for you.
But
should I stop reacting and do this? Oh shit! And just make it. I'm gonna jinx it up, baby. Woo!
I love that for me too. Honestly, I really do. But at the same time,
Bro, who are you? Throwing money at things doesn't solve the problem? Bro, what are you talking about? That's just insane. What you're saying it's not even logical. Throwing money at shit always helps. All the time. This guy should have jumped in, but he's a nerd. It does help. Constructively doing it, of course. Hey, thank you so much, Nico, for the 8 months. Small gut. Much love to you, Mama God. Thank you. I appreciate that. Here's a kiss. Mwah.
it's like an apology is not enough for me.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything that he can do that will ever be enough.
Yeah.
And I think that him and any of these other creators who rebrand, if you genuinely are looking to better yourself, you have to acknowledge and accept that it won't be enough for some people.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, right. That's why you don't want to constantly apologize, because it's not going to be enough for some people. That's true, though. You know what I mean? Like, you give your apology, you can just move on, because not everybody's going to accept it, and that's fair.
I don't think about you, I don't lose sleep over you. You should be moving forward in a way that's repairing harm and being better every day of your life.
Yeah.
Because that's the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Like, not being a racist, not being a bigot is the bare
hard.
minimum. We're not giving out cookies for that.
It's hard. It's hard, bro.
Thank you so much.
I feel like, again, like when it comes to what men, I feel like it's like, I think part of it is just like men are fucking edgy, and it doesn't justify it, but like dudes are more racist than girls. That's why anytime a girl's racist, I'm more skeptical than when a guy's, because you know, it's no, in a friendship you got some, you know, you got like a rainbow friendship. You know, you got your white guys and your Hispanic guys and your Asian guys and your black guys, and you're all just saying wild stuff, and I feel like that's like weirdly normal, you know. But for women, you just paint your nails, you know what I mean? What do you guys even talk about? Probably just talk about men, frankly. Just like the movies. What is it called? The bechamel effect or whatever? Bro, for real. Okay. You know, what is it called? What am I thinking of? The thing where the bechamel, the whatever, the one where not talking about guys in movies for women. Let's just move on. I'm being
I am surprised that you agreed to do it, but very delighted.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to expand my horizons a little bit. You know, 2016 me, probably wouldn't.
Listen, I'm surprised 2023 you were doing it either.
Oh, hell yeah. I appreciate that. I take that as a compliment.
Yeah, listen, I honestly, I want to start off by saying that I very much so respect that you were even trying to take all the accountability and the ownership of it all. I respect that you were even coming over to my side of the internet to come talk about it, because I am very much so a racial investigator, and people find me to be an intimidating character. So I'm like, and I try to be really transparent, because I don't like to ambush people or anything like that. It's not my steez. I don't enjoy it. I don't like stressful content or stressing people out.
Hey, thank you so much for the membership. Oh, is this going to go through like all the members? Thank you for the membership.
So that's why I'm like, let me go into it and be as transparent as possible. I want to be as nice as possible without being accused of being too nice, while also being as transparent about what are some of my takeaways and thoughts, and also giving you the opportunity to expand, and let's try work to a good place.
Yeah, you have a very tough job. I don't.
Okay.
I know what you mean. You got to walk a line.
You get it. Exactly. So basically, let me tell you the starting, how we ended up here. So, I went to a creator clash with my boy Alex. And funny enough, he actually...
You went and supported a racist? Holy shit. That's terrible. I can't believe you went there and gave money to this racist. Fuck.
Had tried to fill me in on the controversy, but I never care about anything. So this is how the conversation went. He invited me to come to Creator Clash.
I
called
said,
me to be like, hey,
not
just
with
so you
that
know,
racist.
like, there is a little bit of controversy. He's done some edgy content in the past, and I said, is edgy white people speak for racist? And he said,
yeah, I think that's something that we should talk. I mean, like when I say I make edgy content, like it's when you make an edgy joke, edgy race joke, it is bigoted, or regardless of who it's at. It doesn't matter. Even if it's at white people, it's still bigoted. Sorry, lib cucks. People say edgy because it's obviously like not intentional, or not that's not intentional, but that is what it is. It's a little bit bigoted. When you make a silly joke about, like whatever, any group of people, it's a little bigoted. It doesn't mean that it's like horrible. I think a little bit of listen. I just like jokes. Sometimes it's fun, as long as it's not generating any hate. I think I do a good job of not doing that on my channel. That's all I care about. As long as it's well intentioned, it's well received, people know it's just a silly little goof, so having a little bit of fun playing on like a stereotype or something. You know what I mean? Like the other day, I was talking about some dumb white bitch that brought her fucking dog into the supermarket, and it was barking like an asshole. You know what I mean? Like that. That's a little rude to dumb white bitches. But hey, you know what I mean? Like it's funny. It's a little fun because it's always fucking white people, white women, the thing they can bring their dogs into the fucking what an entitled thing to do. Us white guys, we don't do anything wrong. We're always good. We're chilling. We're chilling, man. We're good guys.
and he said yes, and I said okay, and I said all right, and that was all my, because listen, I'm of the mindset we live in America, we live in a racist society,
here, or
we live
where
in
the
these
fuck you
kinds of
going,
things. I am not putting it on you as an individual or anything like that, and I don't really want to take an individualistic approach to trying to nail you to the cross. I more so just want to see different things, and I think patterns that we can unpack, and maybe it can make it better for some people to understand what are issues Black people have with certain content or going forward in these kinds of things, right?
A real question: do you think I don't know, but do you think a lot of Black people have huge issue with edgy content that's a little racist? I'm not asserting that they don't. I wonder, because there's not everything is the monolith, and I wonder how many Black people are just yeah, whatever, I don't care. Maybe they think it's funny. I don't know. We'd have to poll the entire Black community here. I don't know how we would do it, but I'm just curious because I feel I don't know. I just wonder. I wonder if if people are yeah, I could take the joke. That's not that big of a deal to me. I don't know. And that doesn't mean that all of it's acceptable. Some of it's too edgy, right? When you're just saying the N-word. But it's a question I've always thought about, right?
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. So I saw the apology, watched the whole video, and I texted both Alex and my editor, and I said, this is the best of them I've seen. As far as apology videos and seeing content creators throughout the years and actors, famous people, public figures make apologies, I thought it was the most accountable I've ever seen it be. So I want to give you all the credit for that. Okay.
That's great to hear. For me, it's been a huge relief, because I think for me, it's even though I was taking a stance on, using slurs and, being very just not wanting to be responsible for how other people felt, me existing in the world and, trying to, live outside of my bedroom at home, I found it to be very challenging to interact with people without feeling some amount of guilt of have you seen my videos? How would you interpret what I've said? Yeah. And how uncomfortable have I made you? And it interaction after interaction, it kind of added up to me saying yeah, something needs to be said.
Yeah,
at least.
And I feel that and I understand that. And I very much so am glad that you at least even came to that spot, because that's more than most ever do. But what I guess I wonder is, why not then? Because a trend I've realized very often, I see this in the space a lot, is a tendency for, you know, white content creators to be called out for things present day that were racist and bigoted then. But there were always black people and people present and marginalized people telling them that then. Why not hear it when they say it?
Well, that's, I mean, listen, I think part of it is overall community backlash, but part of it is like not everybody's a monolith. And I really just don't know, but like that doesn't necessarily mean that all black people hated what he was doing. Some of them might have actually enjoyed it. You know, obviously the good black people enjoyed it. I'm kidding. This is a joke. So it's hard to parse through that, because you're gonna have people from every community that are gonna have a problem with everything. Like, no, you know, not everybody is a representative of everybody. You know, I'm not saying it's okay. And plus, the overall, like, I think the internet was much whiter back in the day too, and there were less like black perspectives on the internet. And also, I feel like this is another thing for men. Maybe it's just me and I'm projecting, but I think it takes a longer time for guys to develop empathy than women. I mean, men are emotionally fucking stupid as shit. They're like empathetically, you know, they're like emotionless morons, to be honest with you. Sometimes men can struggle with empathy, is the point that I'm making, right? So I think that maybe that's a factor as well.
I think generally, I think for me it was, I think a sort of a policy, or like a just very black and white thinking. Like as soon as because for me, I think it's about caring about how other people are feeling, period. Not necessarily just marginalized people. I think I personally had an issue with like caring about people's feelings at all, because I felt like as soon as I would open that door, then like,
because it wasn't cool to care about people's feelings. That's what it really comes down to. That's what back then it wasn't cool to care about people's feelings. Oh, that's not good. Oh, fuck you, dude.
I felt like I would be a lot less safe to, you know, do and say whatever I wanted. And now that's kind of like an in, I guess, for people to criticize, or an in for, you know, people to, you know, because I'm essentially exposing myself as like, oh, I'm now thinking about how other people are feeling, you know. But I guess to your point, I don't have any black friends. I have some friends who are people of color, but
Papago, what do you think about people making their money and fame off edgy humor and then turning around and finger wagging and canceling people to do the same? I mean, like, it's like always a fine line, right? So I think that it's perfectly fine to, well, not fine to make, you know, humor off or make a career off edgy humor, but like it's okay that you have an edgy past, I think. And it's okay to change, and it's okay to advocate to people to change and like try to, you know, communicate empathy to them. I don't think it's okay to pretend like I feel like as an edgy person myself, like you should understand why people are edgy in a lot of cases. Well, sometimes people are just being a racist piece of shit, but like there's some people who are just like they don't necessarily know better. Like they don't really get what the potential negatives. And so I feel like going so hard and like morally grandstanding on people who are going down a similar path to you, I think is stupid. I think to be honest with you, part of it coming at it in that way, I feel like is almost a way of just trying to overcompensate and be like, I'm the good white guy now. And I think that there is a lot of white people trying to distance themselves from their whiteness. Because to an extent, like, you know, whiteness on the internet at least is like it's such a bad thing. So white people will almost like fabricate ways to distance themselves from it, you know. I think is a pretty big factor as well. Whoa, you're not supposed to attack me, brother. You are not supposed to hurt me. This is racist. Holy fuck.
You know, it's never, I grew up in Southern California, and I'm certain if I grew up around more black people, I wouldn't have felt nearly as comfortable saying the things that I was saying.
I don't know, man. I grew up around a lot of black people. I actually never really said the N-word, though. Like, I would say, that's the problem, is like where I grew up, I never really said it. And then when I started playing online video games, that's when I started saying it. It's fucking wild. So actually, there's probably a level of truth to that. But I grew up in a pretty black area. Like, my school was like 30% white. I think it was 40% black and 30% Hispanic. And then there was like a couple of percents of Asian people floating around. You know, they're just chilling. They're just chilling.
Yeah.
And I think the more interactions that I've had with black content creators, and just, you know, regular everyday people, the more I've realized, like,
come here, you
this
sussy baka
matters.
Oh
yeah. So you know, and I don't say this as an indictment. I say this as a transparent thing that we would all realize. And I appreciate your answer, because I think your answer allows me to like more clearly parse that out. Is I didn't care, and I don't mean that in a but didn't care. These are not people that you.
What the fuck?
And that was something I think kind of struck me, right? Because in watching your video, a thing I wanted to ask you about was how come Tana, of all the, you only singled out one person to apologize to? Why her?
I think because I kind of just took it to like another level. Because I think a lot of commentary channels, they can feel very comfortable and justified in speaking about a variety of topics because they're not like in person harassing people, and a lot of them are avoiding saying like the slurs, like I was saying. They're keeping it to like a certain level where they look around their community and they're saying like, well, I'm not doing anything like that polarizing. I'm kind of I'm riding the line a little bit more. And I think for Tana specifically, she was, I think, the youngest person I've made a video about. And I don't know,
shit.
it was just,
Holy fuck.
she was, I guess she was also in, I think the worst part about it is going to her meetup, because she was in what would feel like a safe space. She's already putting herself out there at a meet and greet. I wouldn't even do meet and greets. She was doing a meet and greet, and I jump scared her, and who knows what my intentions were. She had no idea. No one there knew what my intentions were, and that's a scary situation to be in. That's horrible.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely valid. You're right. There is a fair situation to that, and that makes me think of. So Francesca Ramsey, who I have spoken with, she tells us a story about being terrified in the airport when she runs into one of your fans.
Damn.
When I encountered one of his fans in the airport, I had to ask myself, am I going to exit this conversation and continue to have my life? You know what I mean? Like, my life could be in danger, right? Like,
there we go.
So,
suck it, bitch.
Again, that's why when there's all of these conversations about don't call me a Karen and don't call me white and don't call me racist, it's like when those names are used,
call me those things.
Your feelings are hurt. But when someone calls me the N-word, I have to wonder, is this person going to try and kill me?
Did they call her the N-word, that person? Jesus Christ.
Am I going to lose my life right now?
That's fair.
Who comes up there and says, I watch and I know you from iDubbbz videos, and the fear she felt in not knowing what this person is for her. And I think why I asked the Tana question is this. And I think you're right to apologize to Tana.
I don't know. I guess the fans called her the N-word, or did she insinuate it as such? I don't really know. Did you catch her response to that completely 180? What do you mean?
I think you're wrong to apologize to Tana. I think what I really want to unpack is the decision to apologize her exclusively, because if you watch that video as someone like me who didn't watch your content and who isn't familiar.
I mean, here's the thing, because I like iDubbbz. I mostly watched his unboxing videos. I watched some of his content cops. I don't know the person that made Decoded or whatever. I'm not educated on the situation, but it's possible that iDubbbz was right about her being shitty. The problem with iDubbbz wasn't that his commentary wasn't a problem. It was how racist he would be sometimes. But it wasn't like the central focus. It was more like a garnish, And by the way, like, garnishes are disgusting. Like, what are you doing? Don't put that on my plate. You know what I mean? A vegetable? Ew, right? And so, like, I wonder if maybe he felt valid in his criticism. Maybe he didn't even say anything racist. I don't really know about, maybe he felt valid in his criticism. Maybe he was right. I don't really know. And maybe the reason he didn't apologize to her because he was still right, even if some aspects of how he expressed himself was wrong. Whereas, like, for Tana, I guess he feels like some type of, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Of the larger
some type of way.
You would think that this is the only person, or maybe the way I read it was, okay, he's been in trouble for using this kind of language and racial slurs and all of this, but the only person he individualizes is a white woman. And he says, he apologizes maybe to the black community in large, and it would lead you to believe that no black person was individually picked on or targeted, and that's not the case. And I think what I find interesting is that even in apologizing for doing...
Do I consider Karen a slur? No, I don't consider Karen a slur. That's silly. I don't even consider Karen like a white thing. I mean, I guess some people do. They call, like, white women Karens or whatever. I feel like anybody can be a Karen, though. Anybody, white, black, anything, whatever. The other ones. Hey, what's going on, hip username? Yeah, it's not a slur. It's not a slur at all. So iDubbbz saying that he apologized kind of because of the level of aggression, but before she was trying to apply that it was because of her race. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, well, that's the problem is sometimes when I wonder, there's definitely is racism that needs to be countered, but sometimes when you exist in one sphere for exclusively, and it's a little bit of an echo chamber, you don't get any pushback on some of the things you say, you start to get a little bit hyperbolic, and so, like, it seems like she's filtered everything through, like, maybe she has filtered everything through race. And a lot of things can be filtered through race, but to a point where, like, maybe it's just because Tana, he was ruder to her in a more aggressive way, which seems to be the case. You know what I mean? So
racist things. A white woman is who was apologized to, as though there weren't black people who were called the N-word. And I wonder, because that took me down a rabbit hole of watching, you know, videos, and I saw a content cop you did on Jinx.
On camera.
You don't get a break in the beginning. No resting. 100%, 24/7 grind.
grind,
Man,
said
this
baby.
nigga's on the grind. That shirt shouldn't say it's about that time. It should say it's about that grind.
All right, that's not good. You shouldn't be saying that. But he wasn't. I mean, listen, it's wrong. He never should have said it. It's racist, regardless. But there is a difference between the A and the R. Okay, and that's at least like 25 letters in between each. No, I'm just kidding. No, but there is a profound difference. I thought she meant he called him like the hard R, like freak you, suspicious character. You know, I thought that's what they were talking about. It's still wrong. I'm just saying. I got a different. Man, this guy's hitting me hard. Stop hurting me, bro. Oh, he's dead. Actually, lol. I got a little bit of a different. I thought it was a little different. Damn, that's still crazy though. That's wild. But Jesus.
Videos a day, non-stop editing. I'm like an animator. I put so much work in my videos. I'm like sitting there keyframe after keyframe trying to figure out how to put this fucking video in the corner of my screen. Grind, mad grind. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, nothing but.
I mean, all this criticism is 1,000% correct. He just shouldn't have said the N-word, right?
Grind. I'm on the grind. My house, this ain't a normal house. This a grind house.
Yeah, in context, of the video, the clip actually becomes way less racist. Yeah, no, his critique is 1,000% valid. Like I've never sat here and said, guys, I'm fucking even with me where I talk through my videos, I'm not grinding for shit. Okay, well, I am, I guess, grinding, but like it's like a World of War. It's like a classic WoW grind where it takes a long time, but it's just not hard, you know. But this guy was just reacting, like just having videos on the screen. Like, yeah, his criticism is valid. The guy was talking about how he's on his grind. By the way, you know, get your bag. I get it, but you know, he's talking about how it's like hard work. It's like, you know, you put on a Family Guy compilation and you go, whoa, oopie doopie, oh hungy. I don't even know what that's from, but I remember it in my brain. Yeah, I mean, okay.
You gotta eat, sleep, and shit, YouTube. You gotta
okay. I don't know what to say to that.
Suck dick and shit, YouTube. Oh, this is so motivational. Holy
she played the full
shit.
context.
Oh,
This
I'm
isn't that
gonna
bad.
do it right now. I'm gonna sit on my bed. I'm gonna sit on the end of my bed. I'm gonna set up the camera, and I'm gonna watch some fucking videos. Fuck editing. Fuck that shit. What am I, a faggot? Dude,
whoa! You can't say that, dude.
And I wonder why a Jinx wouldn't receive an apology, someone, or what, because I think and I credit you for this in your apology, actually.
I mean, he should have apologized for using the N-word, but like overall, the criticism was 1,000% valid. So
Did really like this, the part where you acknowledge I didn't feel comfortable in my own ability to be funny, or my own ability in my own personality, or whatever.
I mean, honestly, if he just removed the N-word and the F-slur from that, it still would have been funny. And like, to be honest with you, to me, that suggests that iDubbbz would have been funny regardless of if he was like super edgy or not. So, I mean, the criticisms were solid. What are you talking about?
Whatever it is. And so I leaned on this, and I get that. And because on some level, on a human level, I understand things, but on a content creator, on a public figure level of making things I can.
But iDubbbz can't say like, yeah, that was really shitty. But I hope maybe he will say that was really shitty. But my criticism was 1,000% valid. You know?
I understand what it is to have insecurities, and I respect. I think it's big to admit that. But on the other level, I think to myself, well, did you know that then, right? Are you aware now of this insecurity, or did you know it then? And if so, why is the same not grace shown to a person like Jinx when you decide to make a content cop about them? And, you know,
all right, Jesus.
Basically what you're honing in on is saying is they're untalented, or there isn't work that goes into their videos.
Which is true.
Why isn't it sufficient enough to have your platform, right? You already have your platform that is in some way being boosted and made on this kind of bigoted content. That's one thing to exist in that space, but to not allow this other black creator to exist. And in the same way, you call these black people,
it's hard to take her criticism seriously when you're defending dude, listen. Again, there's even today a conversation about reaction content, like what I'm doing, and people who call me lazy. If somebody made a fucking video on me talking about how like I was lazy, people have before, and I go, absolutely, I fucking admit it, bro. I know you're 1,000% correct. But like back then, it was even. Oh wait, everybody's dead except for Murky. But even back then, it was even way different. It was, it was even different than that, because he's just watching a video with making a goofy face, like he's not really doing anything. That's the thing. So, it's okay. I mean, at this point, there's like almost an entitlement. It's like, well, how come? Because this guy was black, he should be able to get away with making like content that like was literally doing absolutely nothing, and then I'm gonna die, and then talking like he was making like some kind of significant content is bizarre. It's just not a good argument. If you were just like, yeah, I think it was really inappropriate that you would use that word, why couldn't you criticize him without that? That would have been fine, but she's not saying that. She's saying, how dare you criticize a black guy, even if it's worth criticizing him. Oh, it's your birthday tomorrow, Soup. Happy birthday. Happy early birthday. It seems silly. It just seems like, to be honest with you, hey, the guy's black. He should have a complete shield. Jinx changed your life? Okay. Well, now, I'm sorry. I'm so wrong.
Black people themselves the N-word, but they aren't singled out in the apology, and I wonder why it is that that's the case.
That part's wrong.
They can't stand to see us, and this is not just exclusive to black people.
I'm not trying to be wrong. You know, we did a 20-minute introduction but like, let's talk with iDubbbz. Let's see what he says.
Well, this is marginalized people, period. This is what you're seeing.
I guess I'm complaining about it.
During Pride, right? This idea that if I think you are less than me, how dare you like yourself? How dare you be happy? How dare you be successful?
Oh, that's a really interesting point somebody just made. Actually, a little based. Jinx was the most popular reactor at the time. It would have been seen as racist if he didn't criticize him. You know, that might be a little bit based. That might be a little bit based. That might be it, you know? Maybe. Maybe you're right. Got him.
Yes.
When throughout history, I've been told that my whiteness and me doing the bare minimum is the standard.
What?
Yes.
And now y'all taking my jobs, you taking my views, you out here taking my partners. Like,
what the fuck are you talking about? What? I don't understand. Okay, whatever. I don't even understand the word. Don't hurt me. Stop it.
you are living the life that
Stop
I'm
it.
supposed to have.
Yes.
And I'm just minding my business.
The fuck are you talking about?
Well, I think Jinx specifically, I think all of these creators, to varying degrees that I've made content cop videos on, I think they deserve their own apology in their own way. I think Jinx is definitely one of them. I think the type of content he was making, in the same way that I felt.
Dude, this guy's a merc in my ass.
I guess it wasn't necessarily that Jinx making reaction content like nowadays that's like it's commonplace, right? So
no, dude, stop it. Oh, iDubbbz is dude. This is why people think you're a fucking pussy, bro. Reaction content is commonplace, not that type of reaction content. My understanding, and you can literally take a searing hot spike and put it into my prolapse asshole and twist it around and pull it off like a piece of flan if I'm wrong. But he just watched videos and made faces. He didn't actually react to the video. He watched the video. Right? So it's not commonplace. It sounds like he's conceding 100%. To come off as like morally virtuous. He's cucked. What are you doing? Oh my god. I just be like, yeah, no, I did was what I was right. I just shouldn't have been racist and homophobic. But instead, it's like, no, I was wrong. No, that guy would have got fucking DMCA striked into the noodle hole. If that's nowadays, what are you talking about? What the fuck? I got this 50-minute video playing on 25% increased speed. I guarantee it's going to be like an hour and a half long video, right? Like I say that satisfies a reaction, all right? If I watched it and just made a silly face the whole time, that would have been different. So it's a completely different thing. He wouldn't even speak sometimes. That's my understanding, right? So like what the frunkle is happening here, dude? What's happening here, bro? Oh man, these guys are
he
roundhouse
in a lot of ways initiated that trend, and I think the content I was making, it was just it was cheap, I think, in kind of the same way that some people can view reaction content as cheap. So I think in a lot of ways I am guilty of what I was criticizing.
No, dude. No, you weren't. Oh, dude, this guy's a penis head.
Yeah, like I said, I was insecure about
Oh, he's acting like a wiener.
Yeah, Jinx deserves his own apology, and I'm open to
oh, you're a wiener. You're a wiener head.
Or whatever he might be open to.
Yeah, I mean, because listen, I think something.
Bro, this is neutered. He's neutered. I totally understand that I don't want to do the racist shit and I want to apologize, but we're at a point now where he's literally, I don't know if he's lying or if he's fucking delusional. There's no way. Oh, I'm really sorry that I criticized a fucking black guy. That's what we're hearing right now, by the way. It's it. He's apologizing because the guy's black. That's the only thing. Bro, he was. What do you? I'm just fucking droning on about this. How is that not racist? How is that not the racism of lowered expectations? To look at a black content creator who's doing literally nothing but putting a funny face over videos and going, I'm sorry for criticizing that person. That just feels fucking insane to me. That's just ridiculous to me. You know, I don't think he's a bad guy. He's getting that bag. I get that. And it was probably at a time where like the social rules for reactioning wasn't really there. You know, and if his criticism was like, I wish I wasn't so hard on him because we didn't really establish a rule set for reactions at that point, that would have been perfectly fine. Definitely apologize for using the N-word and the F-slur. But to sit here and say that, like, oh, this is commonplace. No, it's not. Get the fuck out of here. It's not true at all. It would have been taken down for, like, fucking DMCA strikes out the wing-wang if it was today anyway.
And I don't think it's so that there's an aversion to forgiving you, right? Like if I think of myself as a proxy representative for the black community right now, I don't think it's that anybody has the aversion of, if I think of myself as a proxy representative for the black community right now, I don't
okay. I think myself as a proxy white representative right now, and I'm triggered.
think it's that
It's a little.
anybody has the aversion
That's a little. Okay, whatever.
I think it's the recognition that it doesn't matter whether we do or don't. Because if we
Okay.
had the ability to cancel you, you wouldn't have been successful in the first place. Because black people have a
He would have still been successful in the first place. He would have just been less edgy. The social atmosphere would have not allowed a certain amount of behavior, and he would have just adhered to that. He probably still would have been successful, because seeing that clip alone makes me like 100% realize that like iDubbbz content wasn't that bad. Like it wasn't good, but it wasn't like exclusively just berating minorities and using slurs. It was a lot of the criticisms were well thought out, like decently articulated and presented in a pretty somewhat humorous way. He's overcorrecting 1,000 million percentiles. Holy moly.
problem with you now had a problem with you then. They were just being ignored. And so similarly, what I think is the thing that I really want to unpack is this, is that you're allowed to apologize, whether or not you don't or you do come forward.
No, somebody said like I'm holding on to the shred of faith that Jinx and iDubbbz are having two separate combos. I don't know, is her name Jinx? I think you mean this person, whatever. I think iDubbbz thinks he's apologizing for the nature of the critique. No, he's not. He literally said that reaction is commonplace now, and he should have never criticized him in the first place. Like that's what he effectively said. Like he's not just apology. He's rolling over. He's rolling over.
And I appreciate the way the approach that you've taken and that you've chosen to on your own without a larger controversy be forced to. But the thing is, what I noticed when I went down the deep dive is most of the black people that you did single out are no longer making YouTube videos. They're no longer.
What other black people did he single out?
Content creating in one way or the next. They've in some way been run off the platform or been terrified.
Well, Jinx deserved it. Who else are we talking about?
Years of harassment. Francesca was harassed so much that it's a part of her Wikipedia page, is that she's went through a series of harassment. And I think that's what's notable to me.
What was his video on Francesca? I don't understand. What's her fucking name again? I mean,
I watched Tana's response to your apology, and she talks about how she also respected it and how she would be open to a world where she talked to
Francesca
you and
Ramsey?
how she herself has been canceled and her different pivots. And I think that is the thing that really is the ire of the community and seeing that is that you have the ability to make a platform on bigoted content, attack a black content creators doing similar things, or basically target them as not talented or not this or whatever it is, and essentially run them off the platform. But white content creators, even the ones guilty of doing those things, are able to pivot. And I think that's the thing that worries people, and like something I've been mulling over and how to go about this, because sometimes you worry that, well, if I say it's okay or if you forgive people, then it incentivizes other people to do the same. Like, what is to say there aren't going to be?
he never did a full video on Francesca. Did he do it on Decoded? The problem here, Jesus Christ. The problem here is I haven't seen his original video, right? And we're making a lot of assumptions that the way that this woman is presenting this information is correct. The problem is she's wrong. A lot. Her criticism seems to focus on if you're black, you get a free pass to make shit content. Based on the Jinx thing, where this guy was just watching videos, that wouldn't be acceptable for anybody to do on YouTube, right? And it seems like she's really heavily leaning on, like, you bullied this guy who thought out of the space, and, like, he deserved to be here. And that's the energy I'm getting. And maybe I'm just fucking stupid as shit. And so, like, if she has that take on Jinx, how can I don't, maybe Francesca's content was dog shit. Maybe iDubbbz made a perfectly reasonable critique of her. And now the only reason that he's getting criticism from her for it is because this woman is black. Right? Like, that's what the energy I'm getting. And I'm I'm getting a lot of, like, the racism of lowered expectations. Like, there should be a lower standard on a black content creator than a white one. Because, again, if you literally just watching a video, barely really contributing to it, making a funny face, pausing occasionally, that's not like a good standard of reaction. And again, you could criticize the proportionality of the criticism. You could say, hey, listen, I think that it was at a time where the rule set wasn't established. I don't think that he should have gotten hit as hard. I think that those are great conversations to have. That's a great points. But to just fundamentally say, like, that he was doing nothing wrong is a bit of what I like to call silly goosery. It's a little bit of a silly goose. He never made a video on her. Is that true? I don't remember Ian making a video about Francesca. She got dogpiled pretty much everybody on YouTube back in the day. It's hard to say it when it was solely Ian. Wait, did she actually make a video? Wait. Wait, what? Did he actually never make a video on her?
You know, there was this weird thing that happened where
I just looked this up and Adam and Stitch video came up.
Ended up meeting, I believe, Armored Skeptic, Greg, and Andy Worski at VidCon. Greg and Andy seemed very sincere in terms of, like, we're just trying to understand each other. Like, yeah, we know on the internet we kind of get in these, like, kayfabe, like, wrestling, like, very aggressive things, and we think that we've kind of built some kind of bridge of understanding, and they were very excited. They were, like, like, you could hear the excitement in their voice about, like, actually doing something positive. And for Francesca Ramsey to, like, now be like, oh, why does anyone deserve forgiveness? It's like, I guess it makes sense. Even back, you know, like, years and years ago, she was, like, spitting in, you know, these people's faces when I tried to build community with her.
I don't know about that. Okay, so
I have different relationships with, and so I'm proud of.
Reaction to the content. That's like a huge part of the story here. Can you jump on what the show is? You can't jump on the internet and make a show that basically propagates the stereotype that all white people are racists.
Well, that's based in true.
And not expect people to respond. It's the exact same thing with the Gamergate stuff. It's like, if you want to jump on the internet and start making videos about how
the problem is I don't know enough about Gamergate or any of this shit to, like, really give too much of an opinion on there. It seems like some of the Gamergate shit was, like, over exaggerated and just kind of crybaby bullshit, complaining about some people that wanted a little more representation. But, you know, so I don't know too much about the specifics of it. But Andy went after her hard. I wouldn't doubt that. Andy, I don't know that guy, but he seems like he's a fucking, like, from the limited I've seen, seems like he's kind of a crybaby when it comes to fucking SJW bullshit. The Andy Worski guy. I like Adam and Stitch, by the way, because they're white and racist to me, too. I do like them. But my understanding of Gamergate is it wasn't really super valid. Could be wrong. Don't really care. Before my time on the internet, at least on the internet. Like, as a creator, so I wasn't, like, super filled in. But are people saying that she never had an interaction with iDubbbz? Like, is that what it was? Like, he never made a video about her? Is that true?
It happens all the time of people saying, I want to do something and I don't think I have the talent to do it. I don't think I have this. So let me make my platform on punching down and I will be able to, at a later date, say sorry and move on. What
are you talking about, bro? You're saying, oh, I'm a she's insinuating, like, oh, you're a talentless nobody that had a platform just on bullying people, and there's no, despite the fact that we have fucking food critics and shit all the time, but, like, of course, if it's commentary, you can't be a critic. Holy fuck. Oh, you know, you're a talentless this, blah, blah. You're defending a dude who just watched videos. Like, not react, he watched them. How the fuck are you gonna make this assertion? Oh, iDubbbz is bro. This is the fucking. Let me see how he responds.
I think that's an extremely valid fear.
I'm gonna jump off of a 3-story building and only break my legs. This is why people don't like iDubbbz. It's not the fucking apology. Of course, there's gonna be edgy little fucking morons that are gonna go, oh, iDubbbz never should have apologized. Fuck off. You're a loser. But this motherfucker is neutered. He'll just completely fold 100%. He's now in his fucking brain. He's 100% wrong about every. It's a valid fear. I was so talentless. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Gordon Ramsay's whole identity is fucking a food critic. He also makes good food, right? What critics have always been a thing. Always. That's like what philosophers are. They're fucking critics on our morality and our society. That's what comedians are. They criticize things in a humorous way. Like, critics are everywhere. They're all over the place. And this guy's like, I was a talentless nobody. But if you just removed your slurs from your old content, it still would have been entertaining content. And it's like, Jesus Christ. It makes me want to fart, bro. You know, it makes me want to poop in my pants. It makes me want to go potty in my pants. You know? Like poopy potty. You know what I'm saying?
And I think that's kind of what, from what I heard from Francesca, that's really frustrating, and I don't think it's fair. I think, you know, it's good for people to change, obviously. I think the level...
True, everyone's a critic. You ever hear that saying before? True.
That, like, I would say the response that I've gotten anywhere from, you know, one end of this...
I wonder if, like, in, like, a couple of years from now, iDubbbz is gonna, like, correct, like, accurately place himself. Because I feel like when I made mistakes, I've overcorrected as well. Because you feel bad about doing the wrong thing. And, like, I wonder if, like, a couple of years from now, he's gonna, like, go, like, oh, wait a minute, it really wasn't that bad. And he's gonna, like, kind of realize, you know?
Spectrum where, like, commentary channels are saying, like, I don't think he has any reason to apologize. To, like, maybe Francesca Ramsey at the other end saying, like, this isn't, like, even close to being enough.
Yeah, both of those sides are wrong. He should have apologized. It's good to apologize. And it's enough. And you don't have to overcorrect and berate yourself and be agreeable to everybody. So
because a lot of, you know, black creators and black people in general have had to deal with the environment that, you know, me and, you know, other creators have made. Sure. And so, like, I think that entire range of reaction is appropriate. Yeah. And so, I mean, for me, it's sort of expected, right? Because I think a lot of the people who say that I shouldn't have apologized or something like that, they are so far from, like, arriving to where I'm at. Yeah. And I totally get Francesca's feelings of, like, you can't, like, undo 5-10 years of harassment that I've received. Like, so I get it. I wish, I mean, all I can think of, you know, at this point is to...
It doesn't seem like, not for nothing, even if he did make a video, which, I don't know, people in the chat are saying he didn't talk about her, but whatever. It wasn't iDubbbz who did it. It was fucking other people that are, like, people who are fucking insane, like crybaby anti-SJWs who were harassing her. And I find it super interesting that, like, iDubbbz is now the representative of every white edgy person in the entire world. In general, like, that's like the new thing. Yup, you're fucking white and you're edgy, so you're a stinky little man, and that's pretty much it. That's the whole thing. That's insane to me. Because that's the energy that we're getting here. So, it's weird, but, like, it was way more than just him. So to give him, like, all the blame for this, it just seems silly.
Communicate my headspace and, like, where I was at the time and how I came to terms with, like, understanding, like, my role and responsibility in our community, and just, like, communicate to that to people, because that's as close as I can get to, like, undoing things or, like, fixing things.
Yeah. And how did you, like, when you made the final decision that you were going to make the video, like, that this is it, like, what happened there?
I think there's been a lot of things. I think number one, I think, like, doing this whole Creator Clash thing has opened my eyes to it in a big way. I think I've had to interact with, you know, boxing is a community that has a lot of marginalized people in it. You know, there are a lot of black people in boxing, Mexicans. I mean, it is super popular around the world, and
my dad loves boxing.
Yeah. I mean, I've had to, you know.
Do you think that's because, like, there are less opportunities for, like, BIPOC people, so they feel like they have to, like, fight or something? I wonder if there's a racial lens that we can view this through. You know what I mean? I wonder. Is there a racial lens we can view this through? I'm being unironic, but I'm being serious. Interesting.
Interact with different people.
iDubbbz is Jesus. He's he's Jesus, bro. He's dying for our sins right now. He's dying for the sins of all. I think that, like, iDubbbz is dying for the sins of all white people right now, and it means that we are forgiven for our racism. I think that that's super fucking based. And I think it's true. You know, forgive me for my sins, baby. Hosanna in the highest. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest. You like that? Auger.
Usual, like, small bubble of like commentary YouTubers on YouTube. Like, that's very small. They're coming from like the same world that I come from.
They're coming.
And it just makes my confidence in a lot of these like ideas that I've developed over the years be like less and less confident in them, because it's like, oh, holy shit, like these are real people, and they're as fucking, compassionate and
handsome, sexy.
I get it. I mean, I went to boarding school in West Virginia, and I was the only.
It sounds like iDubbbz does not like commentary. Me neither. We're fucking dog shit, bro. Doesn't matter which sect of the commentary community. I'm developing my own, by the way. It's called the Papa Gut community. It's very tiny, despite my large gut.
Only black girl in my senior class, so I have been people's first, many a white person's first introduction to a black person that in any way departed from a caricature or a stereotype they had in their mind. And I think, listen, I actually think you're in a better position than most if you think about it, because you're not the only white person.
I am the only
There are tons of white people, even the ones I'm sure condemning you guilty of similar behavior. At the very least,
white
person spectrum of racism. So you're not alone. You're in a country full of company, right? So that's not. So in that respect, very often when we talk about racism, all kind of white people, if they were able to, if there were video logs of their platform or how they've lived their life, I'm sure they have a community of black people who would be upset or who they've wronged or they've fostered attitudes and things too.
Yeah,
but they don't have the benefit, I think, in your case. You actually do have the benefit of knowing who and what. Like, you can't contain, once you spread like toxicity, you can't spread what your audience does. You can only try to course correct, and I respect that you are doing that, right? So you can't do anything about whatever black people were on the receiving end of who your audience members or those things. But you do know which individual black people, that you made content cops about or that you singled out, and you know what those videos made in revenue. You have the ability to look at these things, and I think you do have a way to definitively, concretely do some things. And especially when we tie it back to you earlier saying you have no black friends. And listen, even if you didn't tell me that, I knew that. I went to create a clash. So I knew. But I think there is a way to change that. You know what I mean? If you're a person, if you have the benefit, whether we like it or not, of I can't crush your platform, nobody else can either. You're gonna have one. You're gonna still have this audience. So if you have the benefit, your white privilege is that you have the ability to maintain your platform and continue to grow. I think a way that you step forward, a way you atone that, is to change the lack of the way the black people's platforms that you brought down, bring some black people's platforms up. You know what I mean? And listen, in some respects,
well, isn't that what he's doing right now by talking to you? Right? No.
In fact, I will consider your presence here, you taking a step in to get
we got
him.
We got him.
But
I
do think that is a way you can concretely do something. Like, take a look at the privated videos or whatever videos it is where you targeted whatever content creators, and look and see how much did that make, or what was this, and like sit down.
It would have been so much cooler and more. This is, to me, it's almost like the proof to me that like iDubbbz is kind of like, I don't know, like lost like his creative ability. It's not because he's less edgy. It's because he didn't just do a fucking content cop on himself. Like, why, instead of like, guys, I'm wrong, I'm an apologist, why not do a content cop on yourself? You know how much more creative and interesting and entertaining that would have been, and how much better received it would have been if he had sat down and spent a while creating a content cop on himself, and instead it was just like, guys, I'm wrong, and I did some racisms, and it was all racist. There was nothing good. I'm a terrible content creator. Blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Would have just been better to me.
And try to, like, piece by piece, what can we do about this? How can we reach out to these folk? And I think that can that shows some kind of material step. Like, what I acknowledging that it's not just that you built your platform off of some bigoted content, because that's not innately the problem. It's that you also destroyed black platforms. And so I think,
well, again, Jinx wasn't destroyed because he was black. Platform was gone because it wasn't a real platform. I don't know what the fuck you're on about. Like, it's just I just don't know if she's dishonest or if she just has like a pure victim complex. And I'm not saying black people aren't oppressed and that there's no systemic racism, because it exists. But there is like this there's a difference between acknowledging like historical suffering or issues, or the issues you might be able to identify with as a black creator, or as like anybody with any type of oppression attached to them, versus like leaning into it and making like deciding that like filtering everything through that. Like, I'm fat as fuck, and if I wanted to, I could sit here and be like, the only reason I'm not popular is because I'm fat, and there's fat phobia it's so pervasive. It's in every single community. I'm a fat person, and that's why people don't like me. That's why people criticize me. I feel like the criticism is disproportionate because I'm fat. Everything is because I'm fat. I could do that, and maybe there's a level of truth that some people don't like my content because I am fat and ugly. But at the end of the day, there's there's a difference between acknowledging a potential issue versus victimizing yourself on it. I feel like when you're looking at somebody like Jinx, who literally just watched videos, didn't react to them, he watched fucking videos. For you to sit here, God, I'm getting my fucking shit pushed through my turd hole here. For you to make the criticism that he destroyed this person's platform, dude, his content was shit. Of course. Like, it was effortless. I mean, like, it was even somehow lower effort than Papa Gut content. That's a fucking insane. Holy fucking titty balls. What the fuck? Oh, I'm gonna die. Like, it's crazy. It's just wild to me, you know?
I think that's where a good place for you to kind of move forward. And that was an idea I wanted to bring to you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think that's a good idea. And
I'm also Jewish though, so I am basically a minority. And I'm neurodivergent. I'm a neurodivergent minor. Huh? Neurodivergent major, am I right?
I'm going to take your advice on that. I think
he was a vet. Oh shit! Do I hate troops? Oh fuck! I must hate fucking the military because Jinx was in the army. Fuck! I'm supposed to be American. I need a guzzle the cum of the military industrial complex. I can't believe I'm fucking vet phobic. I'm also bald. That's another oppression I face. Huh? You know, to me, the way I like to look at it as being a fat, bald, ugly, dumb piece of shit, where people go, wow, you have limited options for being able to, find women. I look at it is that I don't have too many options. You know what I mean? Think about this. You ever go to a buffet? I, of course, do not frequent buffets. I'm not that kind of a guy, clearly. And there's like 10 different chickens. It's like, what the heck am I supposed to eat? But then you go and there's only one chicken. And it's like, yeah, I know exactly what I'm going to eat. You know what I'm saying, dude? There's a privilege in it. There's a privilege in it, you know? You know what I'm saying, dude? There's a privilege in being ugly, and it limits it makes it so you have limited choices, so you're happier with your choice. Okay? That's why I'm a communist, because I think that we should force people into work programs, and they shouldn't choose their job. They'll be happier. The choice is really the upsetting part. And as long as somebody chooses correctly for you, you'll be happy. It's okay. That's how I like to look at it.
I was going to go on Tana's podcast.
Yeah.
What is your? I guess I'm curious what your thoughts on doing that would be.
Why?
I think you can do that. I don't think that there is a.
Thank you for the permission. iDubbbz, bro, stop. This is like iDubbbz is somebody I want to like, but it just makes it so fucking difficult to like. You know what I mean? Like here's the thing, and maybe there's an intuitive aspect to the commentary community that doesn't like iDubbbz saying he should never apologize, because I disagree. I think that it's fine that he did. But I feel like maybe there's an intuition that, like, what they're really angry about isn't the apology. It's that this guy's a fucking coward. Like, listen, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but, like, if I look at somebody and they roll over quickly and they're not proportionate in the criticisms on themselves to the point where, like, they're basically saying that they shouldn't even criticize black creators even if they make shit content, to me, like, what kind of, like, if you roll over that hard on something like
Pancake
that,
became
oh, thank you so much. Like, how, like, from a friendship perspective, like, what kind of a friend would you be? You see, like, you're rolling over so quickly. It's like you have no fucking conviction. It's like it's a weak, weird. Thank you so much, Miss Pancake, for the sub.
The problem with you doing that, especially if that's somebody you singled out and you did do something there. And like I said, I don't think you're wrong to apologize to or acknowledge a dangerous element or that. I don't think that will warm the hearts of the communities, the particular marginalized communities they feel impacted by, because I think they're still going to feel like the narrative will still be that a white woman was centered in all of this, and that ultimately you're apologizing for saying a racial.
What if he hits her? Would that make it better? I don't know.
Slur, black racial slur to a white lady. So I don't think you're wrong to do it. I think you can do multiple things. In the same way that you can sit down and talk to me, I think you can sit down and talk to Tana. So I think.
Well, thank God you got her permission, iDubbbz. Do you feel good? Do you want to call her every time you make a decision? How many sheets of paper am I allowed to use when I wipe the shit out of my ass, ma'am? I need you to help me on every decision in my life. Is it racist to go potty? Like, what? Am I allowed to do my laundry? if I separate the whites in the colored laundry, is that racist? Like, what's next? You know what I mean? Like, how far does it go? Because it feels fucking embarrassing, bro. You know, it's just like, Jesus Christ, come. Exactly. I don't know. I literally have a problem where I just say things that you guys say in the chat sometimes. It's just fucking wild to me, you know?
I think that's fine. I don't think you have to take that out of your lexicon, but I think the same way you've made these are bold steps. Like I said, I want to give credit to that. Most people are not sitting down with me, okay? People are scared of me on a regular, even in court, okay? So
Okay.
I think it's just about you saying now, hey, maybe let me see how I reach out to a Jinx, or at the very least, even if you, because a lot of these people may not be receptive to talking to you. I know Francesca don't care to speak to you or anything like that.
And that was one of the weird things. He's like, oh, he never apologized or mentioned me. And then the next breath was, I didn't want him to talk about me anyway. So it's like, maybe he fucking knew that. I don't know. Like, maybe he knew that but something is stupid.
I think there's a way that you can change a narrative. Like what I saw a lot when I was watching, there was a video, that's why I figured I watched a whole video on the end of Jinx's career, right? And that begins with Content Gap Cop is the beginning of the end for Jinx.
So?
And
good.
even because of an audience, we know this, being on Twitter, the popular opinion is who's got the biggest audience, right? Or who's the winner, or who's still standing. And so because you're the one that's still standing and Jinx has been run off the platform, the audience's perspective is like, he was stupid, he was prideful, he should have. I'm like, he's calling him
what?
every kind of N-word, and you're mad at the man because he's upset. I think there's a way that we can speak up for people, that you could say, hey, you know what?
I mean, I guess. I mean, again, the N-word stuff is really bad, but it's like the content was doo-doo poo-poos, right? Like, I don't know the specifics, but like the dude, okay, whatever. I beat this point to death. I mean, there's nothing else I could say. She's literally, I think we're at a point now where part of it is that like, because he's black, like he's never going to be in the wrong for it. I honestly feel that that's part of this, to be honest with you.
Perspective having that, because so much public perception changes whether or not we're able to succeed, and changing the public perception on Jinx is what killed him. So I think there's also a way that you can just kind of walk back some of these things and maybe recognize the humanity that you didn't recognize in them then, recognize it now. Because think about if you felt the way you felt and all the things that you're going through, but your platform was gone. Yeah. So I think that's a way. I think
absolutely.
Well,
I mean, for the type of content, I'm gonna die. For the type of content he was doing, like maybe he should have expected his platform was gonna be gone. Like I'm ready to go back to work tomorrow, bro. I'm a fucking reaction YouTuber. I mean, in general, you should be on that capacity. Like, you have to know when you're doing like really low effort fucking content that like it's not gonna last forever. Or it may not last forever.
I mean, I don't know.
Not everybody can be Asmongold. Okay, not everybody can do it.
To the extent, like how much of this footage you plan on using for your video, but I did find out a couple months ago that Jinx has me blocked on Twitter. So if Jinx does come across this video, I'll see if there's an email or something. But let it be known, I'm down to speak with you and even do it all publicly, or whatever he'd like.
And I love that. Listen, I love that. The defense attorney in my heart. When I stumbled on the Jinx thing, I was like, listen, I'm years behind. I didn't know nothing about Jinx in 2015 of all of this, but I was like, he does not know it wherever he is in the world, but justice for Jinx.
Jinx even said he didn't expect to last long. Good. That's smart. He's a smart guy. All right. He capitalized. I would have done the same goddamn thing, by the way. I would have done the same fucking thing if I was on there back then. And I still would have been a shit content creator. I'm a fucking goblin, baby. Yeah.
So I'm glad, and I'm really glad that you sat down with me. Is there anything in particular I want to make sure?
He sucked, but people loved him before the content got, not defending him, but that's her point. That's not really her point though. Like her point isn't just that like people liked him, but that's part of her point. Part of her point is that he destroyed this creator, but like fucking DMCA was going to catch up with him regardless. So
that you're able to like say whatever you say, because I think this is the closest you're going to get to talking directly to Cornbread Tube. So you don't know Cornbread Tube? Have you never heard that?
No, I haven't. I was like, what is that?
BreadTube she's talking about. I think that's political YouTube or something.
So BreadTube is the video essayist space, right? The general video essays, and Cornbread Tube is the black video essayist space.
Okay. Yeah. I've heard of BreadTube, Cornbread Tube. That's funny. I like that.
Hey,
you get it.
Well, I do like me some whole wheat bread. You know what I mean? It's much healthier. Much healthier. You gotta enjoy it, you know?
If there's anything you wanted to say to them directly, please, this is your moment.
I mean, maybe I'd have more to say if I was like familiar, but is there like more? Is there any like?
That's where everybody is. All of the cap blacks, or that's where. Okay. Yeah. So that's our side.
I guess I'll just say, like, out of the, the I've watched. I mean, I tend to want to stay away from a lot of the reaction videos to like my apology and stuff because mentally it's just tough to deal with.
Yeah.
But there have been a few that I've watched fully, and Cat Black is one of the videos that I watched, and I mean, I would say out of any of the reactions to watch, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It would be Cat Black's response, because she definitely comes from, you know, obviously a perspective
You want her opinion on Destiny? I'm sure it'll be very positive.
of you know, being someone this apology might be appropriate for, and
Yeah.
she essentially says like, hey, I'm probably not gonna watch, I'm not like an iDubbbz fan or anything, I'm probably not gonna watch.
I feel like there's too much emotional attachment to disagreeing with her. That's the truth, as usual. No, there's somewhere in the middle. I think that what's happening here, more than anything else, is that like iDubbbz is probably doing like a night. He just can't. I mean, I don't know. He just neutered, bro. I don't know what to tell you. Like maybe he disagrees with some stuff, but he feels like he can't say it publicly, or else it's gonna look bad for him from like an optics perspective. I don't really know, but that's whatever.
Watch any of his videos going forward, but I at least feel a little bit more safe if he's like at a convention or we pass by each other or whatever. Like I'm not going to immediately dismiss him as like the racist guy or whatever.
Okay.
And that's, to be honest, like all I'm, you know, all I could ask for in that case.
Good. Well, I appreciate that I really appreciate that you sat down. I appreciate the willingness to own it, because like I said, it's just true. It's not just true about you. Like, I have my own white friends. We know. We call them up like, ooh, Mark, that was racist. He'd be like, oh, my fault. Like, and you know, you course correct. The only way that you can fix a problem is if you acknowledge it. It exists. We all have biases and prejudices, and I can't rake you over the coals for, you know, what's been done. But what I wanted to do was maybe explain to you, I was like, you know what, if I seem to have a path or an ability to talk to him, let me give you some of my thoughts, and maybe that helps you better understand where the community comes from, and maybe other people listening to it and watching it that are open to that can get it too, and we can maybe do something better about how we deal with these pivots, these apologies.
I super appreciate it. I think the you bringing up Jinx and, you know, other Black creators that have been affected, I think is very appropriate. And I think you're right. I think
I think
like
I'm right too. Yeah.
I think the first person I did a content cop video on, and you know, it's been a long time since then, and you know, you're right. Like a lot of these, you know, I'm thinking about like Keemstar and I mean even Rice Gum. Like all of these guys have like, you know, been kind of continued to like push on because they are a lot of, I don't know, they're like cockroaches of YouTube. They just continue to like, make content,
pretty base.
whether it be drama or anything else. So
well, you know, part of it too, I think, is the way that you interact with like a cancellation, right? That's one of the things. Like cancellation, it depends on what it is, but part of it is what you actually did wrong. Part of it is how you handle the criticism, because it's always going to be disproportionate on the internet. Like it's just an internet thing. And so like you can keep it on, you know, you can do that.
Yeah, I think it's easy to forget those who disappear off the internet and, you know, generally neglected. So I appreciate that. And also, if you if you ever need to get a white guy's perspective on who has definitely like been there, you know, I'm always available.
Thank you so much, Ian. I'm glad this went well. I believe it or not, I was a little bit nervous.
Yeah, hey. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying. I was nervous too.
Good, I'm glad.
Okay.
All this stressful.
Cool. That was good with you.